VPR Radio. I don't know what y'all listening to, but where we at? Yes.
Things start getting sketchy, but
a little bit.
I see that our phenomenal guest has pulled up, so definitely want to bring him up to the screen. We have so much to talk about.
You do.
Mr. Kevin Scott ALLAN, welcome to VPR Radio. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. Kevin? And of course, shout out to Yvonne of La Belle La Diva PR. That is my queen. Okay, we love her. We love all of the guests that she brings. And I just want to dive right in because I know that you have such a rich history in acting. Like even with the Waltons, you go way back, and I want to know about your journey. Everyone here wants to know how you got started, right? Like what that was like being a child actor, because we see so many child actors get caught up in drugs and like salacious type of living. And, you know, even if we look at, you know, the Epstein situations and whatnot, like tell us about your journey and what you have seen in yours.
Oh, Lord.
Good morning.
I need more coffee. I began actually kind of by mistake. I was literally on a set visiting an uncle in New Mexico where they were filming a Western, and we just sort of went to watch, and wasn't this cool? And they had lost a young child actor who had been supposed to do a part. I don't know what the circumstances were, but I'm watching the horses and all that and the cool guys in the cowboy outfits, and then adult casting director comes up to my uncle and said, "Is your son an actor?" He said, "My nephew, yeah." And I wasn't paying attention, but before I really knew what was happening, I had a script in my hand and I was reading lines with this director. I still didn't know what was going on, but I thought, oh, yeah, I can do this stuff. And then I'm in the makeup.
At that point,
I was 7 years old.
7 years old, okay.
And next thing I know, I'm in a makeup chair, and they're, you know, which was new to me. And I'm on set in front of a camera. And it was a part of a terrified young boy, which was perfect because I was terrified. And I was fortunate in that my parents stepped in and said, if you're going to do this, you can do it in the summers, but you're going to go to school, a regular school. You're not going to, you know, have that kind of, on-set schooling and upbringing where, you know, you're the weird kid. Because I grew up with a number of child actors who were the weird kids. They were the ones who, when they went back to school, they were called, "Hey, movie star," and picked on and bullied and all that. And in fact,
that's crazy to think that you would be picked on because you were a movie star.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, kids will pick on anybody who's different, no matter what the difference is. So I was fortunate, and I didn't have to deal with that. I went to regular school, and I worked, you know, in the summers. And as I said, a lot of the guys and gals with whom I grew up as young actors weren't as fortunate because they, and this is not to slam anybody, but, you know, they didn't take their schoolwork that responsibly. So when they became adults, all they knew how to do was to be in front of a camera. And because they were working all the time, none of them actually studied acting. You didn't need to. You just showed up and you were a cute kid.
Right.
And it was
you outgrew that, right?
Well, yeah, because it was during the Waltons, and one of the producers took me aside and said, you know, we're having a problem because we're having to write storylines for the kids because the show's been on so many years, and the kids were hired because they looked like a family and they were adorable and they were fine at saying one or two lines. But now that they have to write stories, they need to know how to act. She was saying in a very polite way, if you want to do this, study. So I thought, ooh, okay, I better go take me some lessons. So I did, and I learned there was a lot more to it than just showing up and being pretty, you know, or whatever you had to offer. And a lot of my, you know, contemporaries didn't. And they made enough money, they're living their lives now, doing whatever they're doing.
It's crazy to hear this parallel, Kevin, because we grow up watching these stars and, you know, these entertainers. So we think everything that translates to the role or that how they act on television is the lifestyle they have when they get off.
Yeah.
You would think that everything is catered. So to hear this like aspect of it's very, refreshing. So go ahead, Kevin.
No, as I say, I think you had brought up a lot of them descend into the abyss of drugs and alcohol and all that. And I think a lot of that has to do with, especially when you're young, you don't understand the difference between the make-believe world and the real world. The make-believe world, I mean, again, you're on a set, people are catering to you, they're putzing with your hair, they're picking your clothes, they're making sure you look nice. You're sheltered from a lot of what has to go on in a child's life. And then when they get out in the real world and all of a sudden, especially as you're a kid, you get older, you change, your looks change. So people don't recognize you. And a lot of times the industry doesn't recognize you anymore. Okay, fine. We're done with you as a kid. Now you're a teenager, you're an adult. And so they're not equipped to deal with the real world because they were brought up in a fake world.
I think that's a very profound statement. And I agree. Like, as a mother, I recognize that especially those first 5 years is so formative in your thinking and, establishing those core values. So the more you expose your kids to things that aren't real, and even if you don't sit and then explain the differences between what's happening, right? So that the children can have that discernment. I mean, and we all know that there's so many predators and stuff out there. So I think, especially if you're going to be a parent allowing your children in this industry, you're going to have to be right there to make sure everything is going as it needs to be, and protect your children. I really wanted to touch on what you just said, because I think it's so true. We do see a lot of times where child actors kind of get played out of that cute kid role, and then of course we do see some that transform and can continue into teenage and adulthood, which obviously you did, but a lot of times we do see them kind of age out, right? How do you feel, besides studying acting, really learning to hone your craft, that you were able to do that, to translate into making this a career and not just something that you did when you were young because you got that shot?
I think I learned to understand who I was and what I was. I was fortunate in that as I got older, I became, I'm going to call it weaselly looking, but my features became a little more angular. I morphed into a specific character type, and a lot of young actors just become pretty adults because they were chosen because they were pretty. They become an adult who looks still kind of like a kid. And then people don't quite know what to do with them because we usually associate, young men, romantic leads, they have got a swashbuckling or a sexiness, or there's something going on with them that's not childlike. And a lot of young actors who began as kids never lost their childishness. And they also never really developed into anything other than what they were, which was a nice, cute, attractive human being. I learned that as I grew older, the camera sees us differently than people in real life. And especially if you're like me and you have angular features, the way it picks up those features translates to something different, something kind of rougher, something kind of scary, if you would, than it would if I had a mild, broader face. When I realized that, I thought, okay, I can start, because I started out playing nice kids, really. I can start going into roles that aren't necessarily so nice, because that's what the camera's picking up. I think I'm
right.
They
like evil genius.
VPR, he has me actively looking at my face and saying, am I a villain? Or do I never thought about it this way. I'm
right. What angles do I play? Right.
And then I'm starting to think about some of the roles that you play. And I want to say when I told my grandmother, because I grew up watching General Hospital, Young and the Restless, that every day of my childhood.
Yeah.
So when I showed her she was ecstatic, and she's watching. And I just want to say thank you for all your amazing work throughout the years that I got to grow up with you. She got to grow up watching it, and it just bridged the gap, and it just full circle for me. Thank you.
Oh, well, I'm sending out a big kiss to your grandma.
We appreciate that. You watching Marie Bennett? You see it? You see all the it came back around.
Well,
so
people
Kevin,
like that who keep us alive, who keep this alive,
Yo,
I don't take that for granted.
No, my family is super excited. My friends, they're messaging me 3 minutes before this, like, wow. Now, Kevin, I had a question because I was
Sure.
driving here to the studio this morning, and I watch a lot of movies now, and I'm getting to the age where I'm seeing the movies that I grew up watching, the originals, are being remade.
Of course.
Can you give me like an aspect or your insight into like the modern day filmmaking process now, and do you enjoy how directors are telling stories now?
Depends.
Okay.
A big depend. I just worked with Peter Berg, who I think is one of the most amazing storytellers, because he's not afraid to be original. He's not afraid to play. He's not afraid to explore. Remember, nowadays, the studios and all that are controlled by businesses who probably at the top have absolutely nothing to do with creativity. They have to do with making money. And a lot of decisions are, okay, instead of trying to do something new, what worked before, let's just rehash it. Sometimes to great success, as for example, the new Superman, sometimes to great non-success. But everybody in this business used to be, everybody was a creative. And now it's a mixture of creative and business interests. And I understand it's a business. It can't survive if it doesn't make a profit. But the trouble I'm finding is that there are too many people who are non-creatives making creative decisions. And so when you get someone like a Peter Berg who comes along and says, hey, I have, a large amount of autonomy with my projects, I'm going to inject creativity into them. Not only does it make a thrilling piece of storytelling, they're great people with whom to work. You don't have to just show up and toe the company line, so to speak. And that's what I absolutely love about this business, is being able to create.
That's going to continue to feed your passion, right? Because when things become copy and paste, and we see it here in music too, we talk about it all the time in the music world.
Everything is being remade.
Everything's being remade.
The games, the movies, the music.
And then also, like you were talking about, we did it before. A lot of that also goes back to the fact that they still own the rights to it or own the creative rights. So they're like, well, let's just continue to make money on something we own instead of having to invest into something we don't know how it's going to go. That branding is something else. But I think you are so on point with that. You're putting business people in charge of the creative process, and that is that's why we see so much of the same predictable events inside shows and movies. And it's like, I want you to wow me. I want to be surprised. I want to say, I didn't see that coming.
Yes.
I'm so over the age of remakes, me personally.
A lot of them. I agree. I think they have nailed a good few, but I see too much like copy paste, and it's
if it's going to be a remake, great. So, I love what you just said, though. Surprise me. So many stuff I didn't expect. I don't know. Maybe Superman has pink underwear or something.
So, Kevin, with all of this going on with all the developing technology with AI, I've been seeing a few studios like implement some actors' likeness into the AI now. How do you feel like this would affect the future, and what is your take on that, Kevin?
That was a big, huge sticking point with the strike, the actors' strike last year, or a couple of years ago, rather. It scares me a little bit, because what's going to happen is it's going to be even easier to produce inexpensive product. If they can clone or AI you, me, everybody, they can put it out there, and if there are no restrictions, again, how many times do you watch something simply so it's because it's diverting? You're cooking, you're working on your car, and you may have a show going on, and you're sort of glancing at it. You're not really paying attention. You're not there to be engaged in a creative story. Well, AI can fit that perfectly. If you don't really need to have something surprise you, as you said. They can produce product, and that frightens me.
I honestly feel, and again, we've seen AI artists, right? AI models. There's AI TikTok influencers. I personally feel, and I know AI isn't going anywhere, But
Yeah.
I think human beings, because we are actual human beings, are going to be so flooded with it. I already see people getting aggravated where you see a video and it looks like it's something so shocking and they're like, oh, this is AI, more trash AI. Now everyone's looking at images and looking at videos more closely because you're looking to see if the wind blows the leaf, right? To see those nuances that create it from being a real backdrop versus something that's been, zhuzhed from nothing. So I do feel like that movement is going to come, but I do think human beings are going to get sick of it. Right. And they're going to be like, okay, enough is enough. We need to see humans. There's some things that AI cannot do. Right. You can create good music, good beats, a good story, but it's not going to have that human piece, those elements behind it that make you chuckle, that make you shed a tear randomly. Right. That make you connect with that character and say, wow, I resonate with that. He's just like me. She's just like me. That sounds just like my mom.
Exactly. AI is interesting. I look at it this way. What I look for when I do a part is not the lines, not what the character is saying, what he's not saying. What is he thinking that's exactly the opposite of what he's saying? And AI can't do that. You think you can? They can't. They've not yet perfected, and hopefully they never will. What you just said, you're watching a human being and you're watching something go on in his or her eyes that's intriguing. AI can simply produce the words on the page.
That's it. And AI actors have dead eyes, right? So eyes are the window to the soul for sure.
Yes,
Eyes speak. Look at the modeling world. Tyra Banks made the word smizing like a whole trademark. You know what I mean? Because it's a real thing. And my daughter was asking me the other day, come on, Mom, that's not a real thing. How do you smize? And I showed her and she was like, oh, okay.
I didn't even know that was a word.
Just smiling with your eyes, right? So it's those things though, because the eyes show so many different things. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, you're saying that, but it looks like you've got some other thought in your mind, and it makes you, it gets those creative juices and the wheels turning.
Yeah, and that's compelling to me. That's that surprise you're talking about.
Yeah,
it's just unfortunate that we have to do what you just said. Is we're spending an X amount of time looking at something, trying to decide if it's even real or not.
Yeah,
and that's all they need to get the money that they need. I mean, the retention right there.
True, very true.
Kevin, if you don't mind, what role did you play that was so far from who you are as like your everyday self that was like challenging for you to actually depict?
I'd say most of them, but I'm gonna bring up American Primeval because this man, they actually described, if you go on to IMDb or whatever websites and they talk about the specific episodes and they give a blurb, they literally describe me as pure evil.
I love that.
You did your job well.
And humble and like light and loving. So
exactly. Santa Claus, yeah.
Right.
No, I mean, I've never raped anybody. I've never killed anybody. I've never, abused human beings like this man does. That's the exact opposite. I think I'm a pretty nice guy. I mean, pull in front of me in traffic, you may think otherwise, but I think I'm a nice.
Natural. I want to delve further in that because I'm really curious, especially since you're going into roles that are so far removed from who you actually are. How do you prepare for these sort of things? Are you like a method actor? What do you do to get into that kind of darkness and to really be able to portray that online?
If you really examine yourself, all of us have darkness. All of us. Now, my darkness may be limited to, or in how it affects me, is if you talk about what's going on with the character. He's going to be raping. He's going to be killing. What does that mean? He's seizing control. He's dominating. All right. What do I want to dominate? You put a mosquito in this room, that SOB's gone in a heartbeat without.
Me too, Kevin.
That was intense, VPR. He grabbed my attention like immediately. Don't move, change. I'm like, what the hell?
Exactly. You put a mosquito. You put a bee in the room because I'm allergic to bees. Look the heck out. So I go into what is not the story parallel to my life. What is the emotional parallel, what the character's going through? And I just draw on that. And then the minute they yell cut, I'm joking with Betty Gilmore or whatever. I'm the nice guy again who wouldn't hurt a fly. The minute they yell action,
right back on.
Yeah, that's the mosquito. That's the bee. That's the cockroach. That
oh yes, brilliant! Is that not brilliant? It right, is. You don't even have to tap into just evoke that emotion of what makes you feel angry, what makes you feel emotional, what makes you want to kill. Right? I love that.
It's just the way he puts it in perspective. You know what I mean? We all have these emotions in us. Yeah. But the way he's tapping into it to use for his artistry and to use for his acting, that is amazing VPR.
I think it's actually brilliant too, because I think what we do find when some of these actors take these darker and darkest roles is that they can't snap back, right? Yeah. They go so deep.
Is that actually a thing?
Yes. Heath Ledger, like we've seen it with the Joker, right? Yeah. Like they go into this, they become the person. They don't just evoke the emotion, they become that character. And it can be, we're human beings, so our brains are still amiable, and we absorb, and that can happen, and they can't switch back, and it becomes like a whole mental block. Wicked.
I had a conversation, this exact conversation with a PR friend of mine, talking about one of their young actors that was happening, and I said, you always need to have an exit strategy. He said, what do you mean? I said, you need to understand that whether it's when they yell cut or when they wrap for the day, whatever, you need to have a strategy that gets you back to who you are, so you don't stay in that place. I did a film some years ago, a hideous, drug-addicted, abusive father to his two young boys. Well, they were teenagers, but still. I would come home every day and immediately hop in the shower to wash, not just, the grime of the day, to wash the character off of me. And the minute I got out of the shower, I was Kevin again. Yes. So actors it can be alluring. I mean, anytime you delve into a deep emotion, it's like a drug. And because we don't do that in everyday life. We keep emotions at bay. Right. But when you go into a character that's filled with deep emotion, it's very alluring to stay there. And
right.
You have to have an ability to get out of it. Otherwise, as you said, you become the Joker when you're walking the dog.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't want the scary Joker walking the dog. That's the friendly neighbor. No. That's such a great way of thinking, because we don't see that. And I think especially if any of these emotions that you're dealing with are actual triggers from anything traumatized by as a human, it can definitely stick with you. He said exit strategy.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I can see where that
stock market, know when to stop, right?
You're dropping jewels here today.
Yes.
Well, good. Make a necklace out of
them. Looking back, right? What advice would you give your younger self when you were just starting out?
I'm going to go back to Shakespeare. To thine own self be true. Know who you are and understand that who you are is going to change, and allow it. Allow yourself, because if you know who you are and you don't try to be what others tell you you should be, and you don't try to be what you think you should be, you can be anything, but you got to know who you are first. Know your strengths and know your weaknesses. And I used to take my weaknesses and bury them under the rug.
Right.
Instead of saying, no, weakness, you're going to be my bitch.
Okay.
I'm not going to be your bitch.
Right. You have to own it. I tell my kids that all the time, right? Strengthen your strengths and then work on making your weaknesses a little less weak, right? Like just continue to develop the content of your character, but you have to own it. It's like, even if you go for an interview, that's one of the most basic questions they have. What are your weaknesses and what are your strengths, right? A lot of people don't know where to begin with weaknesses without making it sound like it's so terrible or I'm not going to get the job done. We all have them.
I wish somebody would answer that question. My weakness, being intolerant of idiots like you.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like, what do you want me to really say that?
He said, what do you want me to say?
Perfect. Are you a Libra?
I have 8 martinis in the morning, so
okay.
But I'm here every morning on time.
Exactly. I'm here. I got the olives. You know?
You are so right. I love it.
But you know, when we embrace our weaknesses, we're just embracing our humanity.
Yeah.
And I love what you had said earlier. Why you watch movies is for the humanity.
Yeah.
We want to see humans going through something that is either different than our life or we're afraid to go through. That's why we watch movies. That's why we read books. We don't watch them to just view ourselves in the same stuff we go through every day. So if we embrace our humanity, we can explore all those things without judgment.
I think that's missing in the film today. I feel like we're afraid to take risk with these stories that we're getting. It's so cookie cutter, and I'm just baffled. And I'm just like, but I grew up watching all of these things, not even cartoons. It was just any of these movies plots, and I'm like, but when you broke it down to big business. And when the big wig says, hey, I need this to be done, I need this person casted to fill this kind of role, I need this to be in it to make sure we get this demographic, I need you know, so I just, with people like you on our platform, we know that storytelling is still alive.
Yes.
And that gives me so much hope, VPR. And, and I want to say thank you, Kevin, for taking time out on the platform today to join us. Qiana, you know the question that we love to ask our guests before we get up out of here. Would you take it away?
Absolutely. So I mean, I think you already left us with that beautiful advice, but we're a different type of platform. We like to leave everyone with some positive quotes or positive energy to finish out their day. So how would you like to embrace our audience today as we go on our way?
I would say, make sure throughout your day you take time to pat yourself on the back. Even if, and especially if you made a mistake or you did something, you know what? Always remember, I'm not excusing bad behavior per se and stuff, but we always do the very best we can at any given moment. Maybe we'll do better the next time, but you know what? Pat yourself on the back for saying, I did the best I could. And maybe that means I can learn to do better, but it doesn't mean I'm a bad human being.
Wow.
VPR, you heard it here first with Kevin Scott. Thank you for
all
joining
about that, Grace. But before we go, please let us know where everyone can go and follow you, and guys, make sure that you go and follow, and then tell us what project you have coming up next, and we'd love to bring you back soon again.
I would love to. You all are both. You're not only fun to talk to, you're warm human beings who make me, and I think everybody who watches, who's involved in this, feel safe. And I think that's terrific. I mean, I'm used to not feeling safe, and it's not a big deal for me, but it's always better when I do. You can follow me at...
Thank you so much.
Well, and it's heartfelt too, because I've listened to you all for a while. If you go to @Kevin Scott ALLAN on Instagram, I try to post stuff that I can do if I'm not under any NDA. I just finished a fun film called Bad Tenant. Look for it. It's one of those almost like single white female type stories where somebody comes in and they ain't what they're supposed to be.
So wait, what platform is it on? Where can we find it?
I believe it's either going to be on Lifetime or the Peacock channel. Because the director and producer, we were talking about where is this going to air. He said, we don't know yet. They do a lot of stuff for Lifetime, this particular production company. But he said a lot of our stuff now is being picked up by Peacock as well. So that's a fun one to look for.
Okay, great. Well, I have the streaming platform, and I think
I'm on it.
Sling or one of them. We all have multiple streaming platforms to be able to
watch. And we all playing for it. We need to buy DVDs, y'all. Buy his season. Buy the DVD of his season. There we go. Buy the movie too.
I love that you said that because I was just talking to somebody about DVDs.
Yes.
So if I got a DVD, man, I can watch it anytime. I don't have to wait for it to be streamed or whatever. Even if I don't watch it, I can look at it and say,
it's something to instead of a digital something you can't even hold. You just spend like $3 on that you're never going to get again.
Exactly. I do like the tangibility of it. I completely agree. Kevin, you have been phenomenal. We love you already. You're a family to the show, and we will have you back. Hope you have the most fabulous day, and can't wait to watch your new film.
Thank you. And you have a wonderful day as well.
Thank
Keep doing the good
Appreciate it,
stuff.
man.
And
Thank
shout out
you.
to Yvonne. Hello.
Yes, Yvonne.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Love you, girl.
Much love.
All
And
right.
Samantha Basuto Drucker, who was also my personal PR person.
Okay.
Was amazing.
Let's
Amazing,
see what other
amazing.
shout outs you have. Drop them. Give shout out your people for sure.
I've already shouted out to Peter Berg. I think you're terrific as always. Dan Golden is a producer I just worked with. My current director, Annabelle Bork. I'm working on a project with her
Yes,
who's
sir.
amazing. Not only beautiful, but amazing. And you too. Shout out to you both.
Oh, thank you so
Man,
much.
thank you, man.
We
Appreciate
appreciate
that,
you,
brother.
Kevin. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.
You too.
All right, Kevin, be easy, man.
Man, you too.
We have the most amazing guest partner. I love it.
Yeah, VPR. I'm just genuinely happy. I see the smile and the smile in my eyes, like
Yeah, smizing. You're
it's
smizing.
I'm smizing. I want to say big shout out to Qiana the Goddess. She's been amazing here on the platform and just lining up some talented guests.
You're amazing.
Legendary interviews over the years.
I couldn't
They're
do this
all
for
uploaded.
anybody else. Period.
You're gonna see this episode uploaded to our YouTube. I'm getting that up today. I'm gonna make some edits. I definitely just want to say thank you for everyone tuning in. Shy Andrix, appreciate you. Appreciate all the viewers on the YouTube right now, Facebook. Thank you. Can't see your comment, but I can see them on YouTube. So thank you. And I'm just humble and happy right now. I'm really just happy.
Same here, guys. Stay grateful. Run this back. Listen to what Kevin said. He dropped so many beautiful gems. And pat yourself on the back. Give yourself grace. And we hope you have a beautiful day. We'll see you back here next week. Ciao.
VPR Radio with my girl Qiana and my DJ FMI.
Don't say I